Trigger warning, we are discussing vomiting in today's episode. Vomiting is one of the most physically uncomfortable experiences that we can have. You don't decide when it happens, you don't fully stop it once it starts, and you can't always predict it with certainty. And for a brain that relies on control to feel safe, that becomes the central threat. Not just this is unpleasant, but what if I can't stop it? Or what if I'm trapped in my own body? The fear often isn't the event itself, it's the loss of agency. Welcome or welcome back. Hi, I'm Rosie. I'm a disabled UK-based counsellor specialising in supporting disabled, neurodiverse and chronically ill people with their mental health. Alongside private counselling, I make these videos to support those struggling with their mental health. And these videos are here to offer psychoeducation and support, especially for those who can't access counselling right now. But they aren't a replacement for professional therapy. So before we dive into thinking about emetophobia and how it interacts with neurodivergence, we need to talk about what emetophobia actually is, because you may have clicked on this video just purely out of curiosity. Emetophobia is an intense, persistent fear of vomiting, be that seeing it, hearing it, or feeling nauseated in ways that might lead to vomiting. It's not simply disliking being sick, which is reasonably standard. For many people, it functions more like a constant background threat system in the mind, where anything related to nausea or stomach discomfort can feel both highly significant and alarming. At its core, emetophobia is often about much more than the physical act of vomiting itself. It can involve a strong emotional and physiological response to the possibility of vomiting, even when the likelihood is very low. This can include fear of getting sick in public, fear of losing control of bodily functions, fear of contamination is common, or food poisoning, or fear of being unable to stop or escape the experience once it begins. People with emetophobia may become highly aware of internal bodily sensations, especially anything related to the stomach or to digestion. So normal sensations like fullness after eating, mild nausea, or even hunger can sometimes be interpreted as warning signs. This heightened attention can lead to huge anxiety, which in turn can intensify physical sensations, creating a kind of doom loop where fear and body awareness unfortunately feed into one another. Avoidance is also a common feature. That might include avoiding certain foods, situations where illness feels more likely, travel, school, hospitals, alcohol, or being around other people who might be sick. Some people engage in subtle safety behaviors like repeatedly checking how they feel, seeking reassurance from others, or mentally scanning for signs of nausea in the body. Importantly, emetophobia varies widely in severity. For some, it's a background discomfort that appears in specific situations, and for others it can significantly impact daily life, including decision-making and freedom of movement, as I said, where you go throughout the day. Although it is often categorized as a specific phobia, emetophobia can overlap with anxiety patterns, such as that heightened threat sensitivity or intolerance of uncertainty, and then strong needs for bodily control and predictability come with it. So, how does this interact with neurodivergence? In lots of ways, honestly, and I probably won't reach them all in this episode, so bear with. For many people with emetophobia, particularly those who are neurodivergent or who have heightened sensory sensitivities, the fear of vomiting can be influenced by differences in how bodily sensations are perceived and processed. Internal sensations such as stomach movements, feelings of fullness, mild nausea, changes in temperature, fluctuations in energy levels, they may be experienced with greater intensity or awareness. These sensations are often normal and not necessarily indicative of illness, but they can feel more noticeable or difficult to ignore. Because the nervous system is already highly attuned to potential signs of danger, these sensations may be subjected to increased monitoring and more interpretation, rather than simply being experienced and allowed to pass. They're often analysed, trying to understand it, evaluated, checking for meaning, significance, checking for patterns. And that can create a cycle of internal overstimulation, in which ordinary bodily sensations become the focus of heightened attention. The issue is not that the body is necessarily signaling a threat, but that the brain is treating any ambiguous physical sensations as information that needs to be interpreted and resolved. As I said before, pattern checking is quite a common feature of emetophobia. So that's the tendency to continuously monitor and analyze sensations for signs of illness or impending vomiting. This often involves asking questions, such as, have I felt this sensation before? Or did I eat something different today? Or is this how it started the last time I was sick? That's a common one. Is this sensation increasing, decreasing, or is it staying the same? The purpose of this checking is usually to reduce uncertainty and gain a sense of predictability and control. By identifying patterns, the mind attempts to determine whether a sensation is harmless or a warning sign. However, bodily sensations, they're inherently variable and often really ambiguous. Factors such as digestion, hunger, stress, fatigue, hormone changes, and normal fluctuations in bodily functioning can all influence how the body feels from moment to moment. And as a result, repeated monitoring rarely provides a definitive answer. Instead, the person becomes increasingly aware of normal bodily changes, which can create much more doubt and uncertainty. And that leads to more checking and heightened anxiety, and it reinforces a cycle in which the search for certainty inadvertently increases vigilance and distress. Some neurodivergent individuals experience differences in interoception. That's the perception of internal bodily sensations. And that is something which might increase their sensitivity to bodily sensations. They may notice stomach sensations, changes in appetite, temperature shifts, or feeling of nausea more intensely or more frequently than others because of brain differences. Many neurodivergent individuals are very, very skilled at noticing patterns and inconsistencies, even without emetophobia being part of the picture. In emetophobia, this tendency can become directed inwards, and so we can see how neurodivergence might make somebody not only more prone to noticing challenging or negative sensations in the body, because they're already skilled at pattern recognition, but also because of that increased interoception. There is a need for predictability and intolerance of uncertainty in many neurodivergent individuals. They rely on predictability to regulate the nervous system and to reduce cognitive load. Vomiting, however, is inherently difficult to predict or to control, so this uncertainty can feel especially threatening. The brain may respond by trying to gather more information and reduce the ambiguity through things like body scanning or monitoring food intake to notice whether there are any changes, replaying past experiences, and, as I said, looking for patterns and warning signs. Seeking reassurance from other people is really common as well. These behaviors are often attempts to restore a sense of certainty and control, and that brings us neatly into talking about distress, intolerance, and control. For many people with emetophobia, the fear is really closely linked to a sense of losing control and difficulty tolerating distressing internal experiences. Vomiting is an involuntary bodily process that can't be fully predicted, prevented, or controlled once it begins, and the lack of control can feel deeply threatening, particularly for individuals who rely on predictability and certainty to feel safe. In addition, the physical sensations associated with nausea and vomiting can be experienced as intensely distressing and overwhelming. Distress intolerance, the perceived inability to cope with uncomfortable emotions or body sensations, it therefore plays a very important role in maintaining the fear. The concern is often not only what if I vomit, but also what if I cannot handle the sensations or the uncertainty or the loss of control that come with that. And and as a result, attempts to avoid, monitor, or prevent vomiting can become strategies for managing the anticipated distress and preserving a sense of control over the body and its sensations. Working with a neuroaffirming counsellor can be particularly important when exploring emetophobia alongside neurodivergence, as it allows the fear to be understood within a wider context of how an individual's nervous system processes sensory information, uncertainty or control, rather than framing symptoms as irrational or something to eliminate. A neuroaffirming approach recognizes that heightened bodily awareness, sensory sensitivity, and strong responses to uncertainty may reflect genuine differences in how the brain and body experience the world. That can really help to reduce shame and self-criticism, whilst also creating a bit of a space to explore how patterns such as avoidance or scanning or reassurance seeking developed as protective responses. And in this kind of therapeutic relationship, the focus is often on building tolerance for internal bodily experiences gradually, developing self-understanding, and finding strategies that respect neurodivergent needs rather than working against them. This can make it much easier to address emetophobia in a way that feels collaborative, validating, and actually attuned to the person's lived experience. If you've made it this far, please know that I'm very grateful to you. If this episode has resonated with you, please like it, subscribe, or share it with someone who may need it. I'd also love to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. Did you learn anything about emetophobia today? And if you're interested in one-to-one support, check the description for information about my private counselling services. Thank you so much for watching, and take really good care.